Is silver set to explode? I'm going to explain the reasons why it very well could happen. Maybe not in 2024, but maybe in 2025. So let's break it down. Alrighty, well, thank you guys as always for watching. Now, before we get started in this video, I just want to give you guys a little update as to what is going to be happening here in the next week. So I think I mentioned it in a previous video, but I will have another unboxing video coming up here for you guys. Probably maybe by this weekend. I think for sure by this weekend. The package does get delivered on Friday, so we're going to have that unboxing. I'm not going to tell you what's in it yet, but again, it is more silver. No surprise there, but we are going to do an unboxing video on that, so be ready for that to drop this weekend. If you guys haven't done so yet, please hit that like button. Please hit the subscribe button, and that way you guys can stay notified when that video does get released. But let's go ahead and talk about today's video topics as to why silver could potentially go off in 2025. Alright, so the first point that I want to talk about is really just the volatility and what we're experiencing lately. I mean, there's been a lot. I mean, silver just this week has been down 4%. I mean, it's been taking a hit. Silver has been tanking. But even not just this week alone. I mean, if we look at the price here of silver, just in the last month, in the last 6 months, it's done very well for the most part this year. But I think recently it's being very volatile, and there's a number of reasons as to why, and I'm going to explain those as well here in this video. But the volatility of silver right now is just making it so. I mean, it seems like every day I check, it's either at $32 or it's about to go under $30. I mean, it just seems like it's just playing this game back and forth. And typically the volatility happens when there's somewhat of a bad news or an uncertainty in the world, because bad news can drive up the prices in these precious metals, but they can also create a lot of volatility. Now, as far as we're concerned here in the US, interest rates are going to be one of the biggest things. Now, we just had our interest rates cut about a month ago. And typically when interest rates are cut, people flock to these precious metals. Now, according to what the CME FedWatch group is looking at here, if we look at this chart, they're expecting another rate cut, which should be good for gold and silver. However, there is also a chance, and again, it looks like it's small at 17%, but there is a chance that the rates could stay the same. Now, if the rates stay the same, that's going to probably increase the volatility even more, because everyone is expecting the cuts to be happening, which should be pushing the metal prices upwards. But if the rates stay flat, then you're going to see a lot of volatility, even more so than what we're currently experiencing right now. And of course, we have our presidential elections coming up here around the same time as when those interest rates are expected to be cut. So depending on who gets put into the White House and what happens with the next interest rate cuts, I mean, it could be positive for precious metals, or it could be negative. I mean, who knows what's going to happen? Everything just depends on, you have these different balancing factors coming into play. So it could swing the volatility index, if you will, on these precious metal prices even more so. Now, if we shift our focus to the international side of things, obviously Israel has been fighting their war just about a year ago, almost to the date. Actually, just over a year ago at the time of this video. They are now entering into Lebanon, and now they may have to have a retaliatory response to Iran, which could also further escalate things and make the situation worse. Not to mention as well, North Korea has also talked about sending troops to Ukraine to aid Russia. So there seems to be this kind of buildup of more and more conflict that hasn't really kind of simmered down at all over the last couple years. More so with Israel in the last year, but now you have North Korea possibly going into Ukraine, which could just make things worse, because again, if you remember what I said, bad news can drive up the prices in precious metals, but also create some sort of volatility. So let's talk about what you guys can do as stackers or even investors. Now, some people have been saying that this is a healthy pullback with, the prices dropping about, with silver 4% in this past week. So they're saying now is a good time to buy it. And we talk a lot about price drops constantly, especially with silver, and it always seems to be every other day that there's a new buy the dip moment. Now, that can be true, and I do encourage to buy the dips, but you should also dollar cost average into these prices, because you know, it's hard to time the market. It's in fact it's pretty much impossible. I mean, who knows what's going to happen? I mean, everything that we talked about in this video can give you a reason as to why it can shoot up or why it can tank down. So dollar cost averaging into your purchases is just a really good strategy, because at some point in the future they will go up. So that's why I just believe in the dollar cost average method and other things as well. I've talked about that in other videos, but you know, this is a good time for silver, especially if it drops 4%. Why not buy it? And you don't want to wait either. Waiting is the worst thing you can do, because if you're trying to wait and time the market and say, well, I'm going to wait for silver to go back below 30, or I'm going to wait for gold to drop back down to 2100. I mean, again, that could happen, but it could also happen the other way as well. So, you know, you might be trying to time it to make it a better price, but I'm sure as soon as you try to do that, you know the prices are going to go skyrocket, and of course, vice versa. So which one should you get? Should you get silver or should you get gold? Well, that kind of just depends on what you think is a good strategy for you. Now, gold is still holding strong despite all of this. It's still less volatile than silver, so if you're looking to avoid volatility, gold's obviously a good choice. But for me, I look at what the gold silver ratio is showing, and currently at 85, silver is still the stronger buy between the two. Now, again, that's just my strategy. Everyone has different strategies and their own preferences when it comes to stacking, specifically what type of silver. But that's a different video for another time. We've talked about that before on this channel, so we're not going to get into it. Today's more about just the price volatility and what the future could hold going into next year. Alright guys, well that's going to be it for this video. Let me know what you guys think. Do you think that price of silver is going to go up? Do you think it's going to go down? Do you think that all this chaos is going to get better, or is it going to get worse? I'd love to hear your guys' opinions on this. Let me know in the comment section down below. Again, we are going to do an unboxing video probably this weekend. So you guys are going to see more silver added to the stack rather than just a little tiny pile that I got currently. So but that's going to be it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye bye, guys.